You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Murray Crimbles. Oh, sorry, I was just saying hello to my friend Murray Crimbles, who just happened to walk past the window then, and he waved, which was very nice of him. I mean, Melly Crumble. Oh, no, sorry, I was just saying what my favourite type of crumble was. Oh, I love Melly Crumble. Sorry, where was I? Oh, yes, Moobly Croobly. No, wait, sorry, Mumbly Crystals. Oh, wait, hang on. Merry Christmas, that's it, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Joyous Kwanzaa, Joyo Noel, and all of Noel's friends too, and hello and welcome, but you know, in a festive way, to this Christmas special of Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast, suitable for all ages from... Ho, ho, ho! To... It's Christmas! And everything in between. It is holiday time, and I have got everything ready. Have you? I've been opening my advent calendar every day, and I have got an amazing one this year. It's just one big door, and when I open it, there's different things behind it every day. It's really magical, right? Today I opened it, and there was a sort of frosty front garden, and then a gate, and then a street, and then a car, and then a road, and then another car, and then a tree, and another street, and then another front garden, and then a whole other house. That is amazing, isn't it? Amazing. All that in one calendar. And then yesterday when I opened it, there was a very surprised postman who was like, oh. And then the day before, there was a really sort of angry-looking cat. I mean, it is exciting every day, and I just cannot believe it. Just one big door. Magical. Of course, I've got the Christmas tree up, and it is a fir tree, which means it's quite hairy, and I have to comb it every few days. And, of course, I've hung my stock cubes up by the fireplace, so Father Christmas can use them to make some soup with, because he'd probably need some soup. I do hope you're feeling all festive as well, which I only recently found out that the word festive means being suitable for a feast. So if you say, you look festive to someone, it might mean you look very Christmassy, or it might mean, I could eat you for dinner, which is not as nice a thing to say, is it? Linda, have you made a Christmas list, Linda? Oh, I have really no idea what to get Linda this year, or any year, really, as I have no idea who she is, or where she is. Oh, well, but look, this is a festive episode of the podcast. Don't eat it. It's a festive episode in the sort of Christmassy way, and it's got a very special holiday guest too. But before we get into that, firstly, I'd like to thank Emma 22222222234 from Australia. Wow, there are a lot of Emmas in Australia for you to be Emma number 22222222234, Emma. Or is that the number Emma you are in the world? In which case, that's probably quite a high ranking, isn't it? It's probably a lot more Emmas than that. Are you an important Emma? You definitely sound like it. Anyway, thank you, Emma, for the lovely review where you said, I love this podcast. It makes me laugh so loud my mum looks at me weirdly. Now, that is amazing, and I'm very pleased. And I do hope this podcast is the reason that your mum looks at you weirdly. But I should also say that your Yule Screp Crumps, grown-ups, they will look at you oddly whenever you laugh, right, or seem happy, as they instantly think you might be plotting something. Or that you might be laughing at the fact that they are inherently embarrassing just by being a grown-up. Or that, they're looking at you weirdly because they've just done a huge fart and they're hoping you didn't hear it as you had your headphones in. But I do hope now that this podcast can be added to that very specific list of things that make your grown-ups look at you weirdly, and I hope that was the case. I also wanted to say a big end-of-year thanks to all of you who've listened to this show and written in with questions, intros, outros, weird riddles, your own jokes, competition entries, or really strange pictures of ducks, hippos, yaks, and so many farting animal emojis. It has been a delight to read all of them, and sometimes fun to have to file away all the farting animals by either species or tone of fart. I say sometimes, often just disgusting. There is going to be one more episode of this show this year, which is going to come out next week as a special bonus for that sort of weird bit where it's not quite Christmas anymore, but it's also not the new year, and no one knows what day it is, and you can't stop eating chocolate and farting, and everything is all a bit grubby, but hooray, it's nearly the next year. You will only get that episode if you subscribe to this show, so make sure you are doing that on whatever podcast apps your Yule Scrap Crumps, grown-ups subscribe to. Then after that episode, Radio Nonsense, I'm afraid, will be on a very short break while I rustle up more guests to answer the many questions we still have in the very big pile here at Comedy Club for Kids HQ. So yeah, I've basically got to get some more episodes sorted because you've sent in so many questions. But of course, while we're on that break, you can still send in anything you like, especially questions that need to be answered, or weird riddles or jokes or whatever. And you can do that by asking your Yule Scrap Crumps, grown-ups, to help you. Email us at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. And if you miss this show in the few weeks it's not around, then why not go back and listen to some of the ones you might have missed? I don't know if you know this, but there have been 91 episodes of this show so far, which is an awful lot. Obviously, actually 92 with this one, 93 with next week's. Oh, we're nearly at 100. Am I allowed to do a 100th episode? Or will that have to be banned? Because I guess if you're 100 years old, you can't listen to the show. This is going to get very complicated. Anyway, if you would listen to all those shows back to back, it should get you through to 2024, and you'll somehow have just missed 2023 completely, and then you'll probably have to go back and do it all over again. If you're in the UK, we've got loads of live shows next year, so do check them out at comedyclubforkids.co.uk. And if Father Christmas brings you lots of itchy jumpers, then why not grab our Radio Nonsense t-shirts at comedyclubforkids.store to make them easier to wear. And now, I hope you're sitting comfortably, and may this be the lovely Christmassy treat that you need to get you in the very festive mood. No, I don't mean like just sort of so someone will eat you. I want you to get in the sort of Christmassy mood for the 25th, as here is our Christmas most importantest bit.
It's holiday time, and Beauregard cries, "Hey, look, there's a snowman ringing our doorbell."
Right, so we've got a special Christmas guest this week. I don't actually know who it is. I had this sort of, it was delivered, this number was delivered in a present that was thrown through the window. It was a bit uncouth, but hey, I've unwrapped it, I've called it, and hello, who's there? Hello?
Hello? Who's this?
Hello, it's Tiernan here at Radio Nonsense. You're our special Christmas guest, apparently.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was a delivery. I'm in the loo. Sorry, I thought it was a delivery. I thought it was an urgent thing. I shouldn't have answered the phone. Radio non what?
Radio Nonsense. Sorry, you're in the loo. Are you making a Yule log? Is that how it's Christmassy, or?
It was. I mean, it doesn't. What does it have to be Christmassy? I'm just having a poo. I mean, this is. Why are you calling me? Who are you?
Well, this is our special Christmas episode of the podcast, and I got sent your number to be our special Christmas guest for the show.
It's happened again.
What's happened?
This happens every year. I've got a mate who does this thing with a present, and last year it was the Today program on Radio 4. I got phoned up by Radio 4, and they started talking to me about politics, and I don't know how he knows when I'm going to have a poo, but I'm always sitting on the toilet, and now yeah, okay. I'm prepared to go with it. Yeah, this is fine.
You're right with it. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I ask your name? It'd be good if we had a name. Or
sorry, Chris.
Oh, it is Chris. And what's your surname, Chris?
Mass.
Chris Mass. Right.
Really
I can see how this.
Yeah.
I can see how this confusion occurred. Right, and that might explain as well, because I thought it was a present thrown through the window, but actually it might have just been a brick with your number on it. Yeah,
he does that. He's not a very nice person.
No, it was quite aggressive. But hey, look, we're here now. If you don't mind, I've got Christmas. We've had a lot of listeners, and they asked Christmas specific. Sorry, not Christmas, but Christmas specific questions. They're not questions.
Are they going to be questions about me?
They're not questions about you.
People celebrate.
Are you qualified to answer questions about Christmas, or are you only going to be able to answer them about yourself?
Well, I know as much about Christmas as the next person, and the next person in the store next door is an expert on Christmas. So,
that's good. That's good.
I'm going to be here for a while because we had the office Christmas party yesterday, and I ate a lot of vol au vents.
Oh,
mushrooms! They just back me right up.
That's lovely. Very festive. I suppose it is the season for giving, and right now you are giving a lot to the bathroom.
There might be a little little splash every so often. But don't you can edit that out, can't you?
I will definitely edit out for the sake of the listeners. I don't know if that's the sort of Christmas sounds that they would want on this show. I was going to ask, do you have a favourite festive noise?
Oh, festive noise. Well, I quite like the sound of a golf club hitting a present you don't like.
Oh,
That's what I do. I'm not very good at golf, but sometimes I get given presents. We do a Secret Santa thing at work, and I sometimes go up on the roof and just thwack them off the building towards the public swimming pool.
Right, that's very.
Don't do that at home, kids. But yeah, that's what I do.
Wow. Well, Chris Mass. I mean, I do feel like that's slightly ungrateful. If you're given a present, that's not. If you're given a present that you don't like, normally you sort of politely go, "Oh, thanks," and then you might put it in a cupboard, or you might, give it to someone else.
It's Karen from accounts, and I think sometimes she does it on purpose. She always gets me something I hate. Yeah. It's
right.
It probably isn't the most festive. I'm sorry, I'm just complaining about. But to be fair, you have just rang me while I'm having a poo. So
I can
trying up the. This is like, but who's the audience of the podcast? Who are you talking to?
Well, this is the other question I was going to ask you. Is it's this podcast is suitable for all ages you can possibly imagine. Can you imagine an age, Chris? Or
I can. Yeah, I'm imagining one now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great. Well done. Well, I just, and just to make sure this conversation can be okay, aside from you having a poo throughout, are there any Christmas rude words that you won't say during the show?
Yeah, no, I refuse to say Advent.
Oh yeah.
That's, Chris Dingle is also a big no for me.
Is he a neighbour of yours or?
Yeah. He was relatives of one of the people from Emmerdale Farm.
Right.
One of the Dingles, but Chris.
Know that.
Yeah, and Radio 4. We're doing very well.
Yeah.
But you said it was for all ages, did you?
It is for all ages. That's very true. Yes.
I'm aiming for 50 plus.
Yeah. Right. Sure.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Chris Dingle. No, Chris Dingle. No Advent, and definitely will not be saying tinsel.
No, please don't say. Thank you. I really, appreciate that you respect the show, even though you didn't know you were going to be on it, and you are in the middle of a very extensive poo. But if you don't say Advent, you don't say Chris Dingle, and you don't say tinsel, that would be fantastic.
I wouldn't want to offend anybody who's listening. Oh, podcast. That felt like that was a bit of astrology.
That sounded awful. I'm also impressed that you didn't say poo-cast. That's where I would have gone, but. You obviously got quite control over your pooing.
Well, as I say, this happens to me every year. Last year it was Humphrey's bloke off Radio 4 calling.
Yeah.
The year before that, I was on Jeremy Vine show. That was tricky. There was a lot of background noise. I do this every year to different audiences.
Do you know what? You've reminded me actually, because there was a point a few years ago when I remember listening to the Christmas chart show, which again all the listeners won't have a clue what that is. But and when they got to number 2, there was a man on the line who was having a number 2. Was that you?
To me. It was, and it was awkwardly. It was also broadcast on telly as well. It was the on the top of the Pops Christmas countdown. It just cut to a shot of me. I don't know how he managed it, but he rigged up cameras in the toilet. Don't do that. That's an appalling thing to do. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be Mariah Carey, and it was just me pushing out my own special slate.
Wow, top of the poops. Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
that is
dropping the elves off in the grotto, so to speak.
Well, it is nice because I did think I recognised you, and that must have been why. Because I was quite surprised.
Slipping some brown. I've got another one. Slipping some brown presents down the chimney.
Right, lovely.
That was another one. So I had another.
Chris Mass.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know you live next door. Oh no, you don't live next door. You poo next door to a Christmas expert, which is obviously
yeah,
a different
yeah.
experience. So if you get stuck on any of these questions, we have got 4 of them. Then maybe can you shout across to the
I
cubicle?
can do. Well, I mean, the thing is, yeah, I'm at work at the moment. I am in the stalls in I lose days of man hours to pooing at the Christmas period. Yeah, so I am in a stall. There's a Christmas expert next to me, and I think there's someone else next door. Yeah, he's having a cry.
Ah, lovely. That sounds great. Well, very, very festive. That was. So listen. I'll ask you the questions. We'll see how you get on. Feel free to call a friend or your cubicle neighbour if you do get stuck. Right. Well, let's start with the first question we've got is from Anonymous, who is still 9 farting gorillas old.
I know her.
Oh, do
She
you?
works in distribution,
Oh,
and
wow. Definitely the same Anonymous, 9 farting gorillas old Anonymous.
oh, maybe it's a different one. Yeah.
Right. Well, there you go. I mean, wow, that's amazing. Well, maybe this is.
They only,
Oh, go on.
they only employ people with pun names at this institution I work at. So so it's Christmas Anonymous.
I
Yeah,
see. I see. Well, it could
all right,
well
yeah.
be the same one. How fascinating! I'm sure distribution. They probably had time to send this to us in between sending out, distributing whatever it is that you distribute. I suppose.
It's stuff. It's stuff. It's mainly puns we
Right.
distribute around. Yeah.
Oh, right. So very busy at Christmas cracker time of the year.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're rushed off. Well, I'm not rushed on my feet. I'm sitting squarely on my feet on
Sure.
the
Can I
toilet.
just check
But
because the more we're talking, the more Christmassy. Like it all feels a bit more Christmassy than I thought when I was just talking to a man on the toilet. But obviously, you're very integral to getting the jokes and Christmas crackers. Where are you situated in the world?
puns in Christmas crackers.
Sorry, puns.
I don't think you class them as jokes.
Sure, fair enough. That's fair enough. Sure.
Wordplay is, I think, as powerful you can give it. I don't think it's a
Sure.
joke. I don't know.
That's very fair. Sort of things like elf and safety and that sort of.
Yeah. That's one of our main exports. Yeah.
Yeah. So can I check where you are in the world? Is what I should have asked.
We're in Lapland.
Right, my goodness. See,
yeah.
this is a no, good. I knew you were a good Christmas guest to get on. That's and a Christmas guest to get on. This is obviously all working out lovely. Right, well, let me give you this first question then, and maybe you'll know this just from seeing this person or this creature around in your local area if you are based in Lapland. This question from Anonymous, still 9 farting gorillas old, asks, "How did Rudolph get a red nose? Did he stick a tomato on it?"
That's a popular misconception with Rudolph, and he does like tomatoes. But he is allergic to them. So he had a normal sort of taupe coloured nose. But he then tried to stick a tomato on his nose as a joke. He thought it'd be funny. He'd heard the song and thought maybe it was about him. He'd like a red nose, but he didn't actually stick. Where he is terribly allergic to tomatoes, and his nose turned right red, looking like a tomato, ironically. And so every time he opens his eyes, he sees what looks like a tomato, to which he now knows he is allergic, and he goes, "Ah, it's a tomato!" And so consequently, he constantly flies backwards now. It's constantly trying to run away from his nose. It's really quite sad. It really is.
That's very sad, and must also make sort of being part of the sleigh group difficult if he's going in the wrong direction. They have to face.
He has to be harnessed backwards.
Yeah.
He's now, and so it used to be the sleigh was led by Rudolph, and his red nose lit the way and everything like that. But now it's his bottom just facing right into the winds, which I must imagine that must get drafty up there. He's right at the front.
And how do they light the way with his bum? Do they? Can you make a bum glow? Is his bum allergic to tomatoes as well?
No, it's now done with echolocation.
Right,
they feed him a lot of sprouts. He farts a lot, and the noise goes out, and it's a bit like a whale. How a whale navigates, bouncing sounds off the local environment and judging the. So it's just a constant reindeer fart going on.
Wow.
And that's how Santa finds his way.
Wow. Well, can I just check, because something you said you said that Rudolph had heard the song and thought it was about him. Was the song not about Rudolph? Was the song not about that Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer? Is there a different?
No.
No.
It's actually about Rudolf Nureyev, who is a famous Russian ballerina.
Wow.
No, ballet, not ballerina. It was a ballerina. And it was a satirical song about how he had a red nose because he had a cold once while he was dancing Swan Lake because his nose dipped in the lake. It was originally about that, but it just got misappropriated for the Christmas period.
Right. And is that because I don't know what country the song originated in, but I guess do they call swans reindeer, as in like the deers of the water?
Yeah, it's Russian. You speak Russian. I'm impressed with you, Mr. Dukes. You speak very good Russian. That is an exact translation of reindeer is goose.
Sure.
In Russian.
Goose, right, but not but then I suppose they called him a goose instead of a swan because it's a satirical. Oh no, okay.
Terrible smell just came through there. I'm sorry, I just choked on that.
That is wow.
Yeah, no, sorry, swan, but also in the Russian version of Swan Lake, there's some infiltration from the geese community.
Sure. Wow. I mean, it sounds. I didn't realise there was quite so much history to it, and I don't know if Anonymous realised she was asking such a deep question, but fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I think that's pretty succinctly answered, and I hope that the children listening will look out their windows for sort of reindeer gaseous emissions.
Yeah.
Through the night.
I mean, the trouble is you can hear him now in mountainous regions. It sometimes causes avalanches.
Yes, I can imagine. Very loud.
The reindeer sphincter can really knock out some decibels.
Yeah, well, I always wondered because, in fact, do you know we've got another question here, and I suppose this links. This is from Zoe, who says, "This is Zoe. I'm 8." So it's nice of her to kind of. I assume that's how she said it. It's very sort of succinct. It's just "I'm 8." Full stop. My question.
I imagine she shouts everything.
Sorry.
I imagine she shouts everything.
Yes,
it's like, my name's Zoe. I'm 8. That sort of thing.
Yes,
deliver it like that.
Well, because she's also put "Merry Christmas," so it's all like very short sentences, very punchy. And then she put, "My question is semicolon." So it's like, wow. How do reindeer fly?
Very badly to start off with. I live quite close to the testing area where they teach the reindeers to fly, and early doors, there's a lot of reindeer just hit the buildings and are stuck in there, and they have to. I mean, they're fine; they're very resilient creatures, but so there's constantly people trying to pull the back legs of reindeers, and so that they come out because they've just got flown into a wall and gone smack straight into it. And that's how when you see posh films and they have a picture of like a moose's head on the wall.
Yes.
That isn't actually that feels like it might be a tragic thing that someone's cut the head off a moose. It's not. That's actually a reindeer that was on a test flight and flew straight through a wall, and they just haven't pulled him out yet.
Wow. Well, I guess it's quite hard to pull because the antlers probably make it quite tricky to pull out. It's like a sort of a roll plug, which obviously all our listeners will know about. Where you sort of hammer them in, and then they're much harder to pull out because of how they. And
the thing is that with the antlers, that's your handle. You think you pull them from that end, but actually it's the other end that's the end you need to pull it from, because that's the point of entry, the direction of entry. But also that end is relentlessly farting because that is how they propel themselves.
Yes. That's what I wondered. Yeah. So, but then you've got the issue. If we go back to the Rudolph thing, if he's facing the wrong way, and obviously his farts are used of echolocation, but they must also be propelling them. Are they having to get extra reindeer in to counteract the?
They've got to back up the team. They've had to double the team because Rudolph has got a particularly powerful thrust.
Yeah. I bet. Well, all those carrots. And tomatoes. That's going to make for.
Not tomatoes, not for Rudolph, not for Rudy baby. No. We don't want any
tomatoes. Yes.
Swelling up and going red.
Yes, it's very complicated. I mean, people I think don't realise the kind of mechanics that go into Christmas.
It's
Father Christmas has to get around the world in one night. That's going to require a lot of fuel, a lot of maths, and as you say, like. Coordinates.
A lot of Father Christmas as well. It takes a lot of his time. So we're trying to develop Father Christmas automaton, We're trying to develop robot Father Christmases that can take some of the weight, some of the heavy lifting of. But obviously, we don't want people to see Father Christmas and it not be Father Christmas. So we're trying to create exact replicas of Father Christmas as robots, so he can do shifts, so he can take the weight off. But the problem is they keep on turning evil.
Oh,
that is the problem with the robots. We've got an entire valley full of evil Father Christmases.
Oh my goodness!
Robot Father Christmas is obviously the real Father Christmas. He's a gent. He's a proper lovely chap. He is. We've got a lot of robot Father Christmases.
Where is this valley? Because I mean, we should probably be warned about it to stay away.
I mean, we've grown some very, very tall trees around the valley. It's in Lapland. It's a valley where you'll hear it because there's just been firing of lasers and battle cries, and they're just whacking each other with their sharpened sacks. It's
wow.
It's terrifying. Yeah. So technology plays a big part in Christmas, Tiernan, But so we've got to be careful. It can be your master as well as your servant.
I mean, it's very interesting because I don't know. I haven't spoken to you before. You seem to already know the questions that we've got because this links into the next question we've got, which is from Bella, and it's sort of less of a question, but I think she's made an assumption here, which judging by what you've just said, isn't quite right. But Bella says there are different looking Santas in different movies. It's because there's a new Santa every year. That's why he asks your name when you sit on his lap.
Right. That's you. Yeah. Well, I mean, those are the thing is those are actors playing Father Christmas. That's not the actual real Father Christmas, obviously. Right. The real Father Christmas is an anonymous figure. If you see him, you don't get any presents. That's why you got to go to sleep. You got to close your eyes, get some shut eye, and let those presents turn up. Okay. So those are actors playing Father Christmas. That's the thing that's going on. Apart from Danny DeVito, he is actually Father Christmas.
Right. I knew.
Yeah, little fella. Yeah. Danny DeVito. I don't think he's ever played Father Christmas though, because that would be a bit on the nose. Father Christmas obviously it only works one night a year, and for ages that was great for him. He just sat back and ate vol au vents. But then he just got bored and sort of thought he's now in various sitcoms and films, and he's a director as well, quite successful.
I mean, it does make sense that if actors are playing Father Christmas around the world, then Father Christmas plays an actor. During the rest of the year, which I think is a very smart idea.
He's very versatile.
Yeah, he's very versatile. It's fascinating. I mean, I've got a lot of questions.
Tim Allen was Santa in disguise for a long time.
Of course,
Tim Allen from the Santa Claus. So most actors who play Father Christmas have also been played by Father Christmas.
Gosh, that's very.
Tim Allen would take some time off, and Father Christmas would stand in his place.
That's fascinating. Has Father Christmas done any really amazing roles that we might not have realised were Father Christmas at the time?
He did a forward role last Christmas at the gymnastic event. He's an old guy. He's a big lad, but he's still very versatile. And he makes a very nice Swiss roll.
Oh wow! Okay, that's fantastic. But no major sort of movie.
Oh, movie roles. No, yeah, I'm talking about sausage rolls. He loves sausage rolls as well. No, he has been in. He was obviously in he played the Penguin in one of the Batman films.
Oh, wow.
Danny DeVito. He also. What else? He was in something recently. He played Paddington 2.
Oh yeah.
Paddington 2, the big guy with the beard who helps Paddington escape.
Oh,
that's
right. That's amazing.
It's listed as Brendan Gleeson, but it's actually Father Christmas.
Gosh, that's amazing. And am I right in thinking it was also him in Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
Shawshank Redemption.
He played the sledge in Citizen Kane.
Yeah. Shawshank
Redemption. He was Morgan Freeman.
Wow. E.T.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a curveball for him. He actually played the little girl with bunches, the little tiny girl.
I thought because everyone thinks that's Drew Barrymore, but it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
Yeah, no. It's actually Father Christmas, just very far away.
Wow.
They had to. You know how they filmed Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings film?
Yes,
they did it with So the hobbits they had in the distance, and Gandalf they had in the foreground. They had to shoot the entire film with all the children and child actors and E.T. himself, with Father Christmas in a little girl costume. A great distance.
Wow. And last one, all the Minions films, aren't they all? Are they? Am I right in thinking they're all Father Christmas?
Yeah, that's Father Christmas doing a handstand. Yeah.
Wow, that is very impressive. So he wears the goggles on his bum.
Yeah. That's the only way he can make that noise.
Wow. Well, that is remarkable, and I mean, also just thinking about the fact that he does all that through the year. You know, film shoots can be quite intensive.
No, not through the year. No, not through the year. It's through a different. Oh, year. Sorry, I misheard it.
Right.
Sorry, I misheard.
No, yes. No, he does the performance. He's in films all through the year, and then still gets Christmas sorted.
Yeah. He's a very impressive man, and we really shouldn't have tried to replace him with a robot.
Yeah, I am slightly worried about that situation as well. Is there any danger those robots could escape? Is there any danger someone could find them and release them, to cause kind of villainous deeds?
Well, I mean, we've had some eyes on them recently, and they're actually building more robots out of the trees than wooden robots. So hopefully they're slightly less indestructible, because we did build them indestructible, which was a mistake. That was a mistake. Never build. If you're going to kids, if you're listening, and not 100 years old people's, 98-year-old people's who would fancy building a robot, don't make them indestructible. It's just like it's your fault to yourself. Don't they're going to turn evil. Don't make them indestructible. That's why. You could get your Alexa and throw it against the wall and it'll smash. That's a safety mechanism. Don't do that.
Wow.
Mechanism.
So you've suggested so far, if they get any presents they look like, they should hit them off the roof with a golf club, and they should throw Alexa.
I did say not to do that. I just said that
they
possibly do. Yeah.
Sure. That's right. Maybe not.
And also, anyway, golf clubs don't come in the size of children. You're too big to wield effectively.
Is that right?
Yeah, you need to get some miniature golf. If you're going to thwack your presents off the roof with a golf club, you need to get yourself a specialised golf club, because you don't want to be swinging around a 9-iron that's designed for someone who's 6'8".
Yeah, I can see a lot of problems with that. And I should suggest maybe don't do it off the roof. Maybe do it somewhere lower down, more.
Yeah.
If you're going to dangerously swing around a golf
greenhouse,
don't.
Not greenhouse. No. Shed. No. Yeah, I mean, as long as it's a firm. No, don't do it at all. Don't do it.
Sure.
Why are you suggesting people hit unwanted presents with anything? Why are you even?
You're right, and also they'll be too busy smashing their Alexas. So very very important.
Other evil robots are available.
Are they?
Not just you could be a Siri, could be a Google.
Which has got me very worried. I wasn't at all worried about evil robots until I spoke to you, and now I'm.
Oh, you should be. You should be. Well, yeah. There's one behind you. No, there isn't. That's not a robot. That's just a normal robot.
I didn't even know there's a normal robot behind me. This is.
Yeah, it's quite big.
Oh, this is terrifying. Well, I hope it's meant to be a lovely festive episode. Already we've got constant pooing and evil robots, and I hope this isn't unsettling anyone.
To be fair to me, not constant pooing. I found this whole thing quite distracting.
Sure.
Sure.
I've sort of ruined the flow. I do apologise.
I want to go there.
But yeah, that is what happens when you're an expert on Christmas and you get called to do these things. You've got to keep traditions going. If you're going to get called up every Christmas, next year, what will it be? Probably like 10 o'clock news, or I
don't know. It's up to the guy with the brick. It really is. It's not up to me. I've always wanted to meet Judi Dench, but she doesn't present any sort of chat show. She has got a podcast.
Maybe we can try and sort that out. Well, listen, I've got one more question here. These have been fascinating answers. And this question is from Refrigfer, I believe. RFRGFYE. Refrigfer.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. And they have asked. This is a big question, and I hope you're okay to answer this, Chris, because obviously I know you weren't expecting any of this conversation, but you sort of were, because it happens every year. But this question, I'd say this is one of the deepest questions we've had on the show, actually. Refrigfer has said, would you rather name a snowman Frosty or a dog Larry?
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, because they give a dog a bad name, and I can't remember the end of that. Maybe give a dog a bad name and he'll steal the end of this sentence. Yeah, so for a snowman Frosty or a dog Larry.
Yeah, but you can only do one or the other. You can't. It's an
Okay.
or. There's not an and or. It's or. So you can only call a snowman Frosty, and there is already. I should say, we talked about Christmas songs already. There's that whole song about Frosty and Snowman, which
Yeah.
I presume that person has not named a dog Larry. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to sing the song.
Larry the dog. It doesn't scan as well as Frosty the snowman.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, you got to think about when you're naming a dog, you've got to think about what you're going to be shouting in the park if it runs away.
Yes.
And so, Larry. I mean, that doesn't sound like you're shouting out a dog, though. So you might shout Larry, and someone's come in and like, no, sorry, Larry. I was just demonstrating. Sorry, there was someone trying to. He thought I was shouting for help. Larry, no, it's one of these phone calls again, Larry. Yeah, it's every year. Sorry. No, it's not. No, he doesn't even present the Today program anymore. He's a big Humphreys fan. I was going to say Barry Humphries, but it's not him, is it?
No. It's again another good reference for our listeners. Yeah,
they love it. It's about you got to be careful because I just shouted Larry in this toilet, and someone called Larry thought I was shouting at them. So you got to be careful. And similarly with naming snowman, you might have to shout if the snowman comes to life and turns evil. You're going to be running around at Frosty Glen shouting Frosty, and I mean that works, but it's not a very evil name. So you probably need to give your snowman a more evil name for when they come to life and turn evil.
Hang on. So we've got evil Santa robots and evil snowmen. Is this? Is Christmas time a lot more dangerous than we think? Because I think everyone thinks snowmen are lovely. Obviously, they've seen the film where it flies around and meets Father Christmas. But, for all we know, there was an evil snowman meeting an evil Santa robot.
Yeah.
This is terrifying.
I mean, we should pitch this as a film. This is brilliant. But this is my life. That's the problem, is that I think it might be me. Whenever I make anything, it appears to turn evil and try to take over the world. I think this is the problem. There's a lot of the reason why I hide in the toilet at work quite a lot. I'm terrified of what might happen. If sometimes I write an email and I'm a bit worried that'll go rogue, turn evil, and start trying to attack people, and we'll have to build another grove in the wastelands of Lapland and just full of emails.
Can I check that? Were you demoted to puns? Were you on something more important than puns, and you've since been demoted because everything you turned evil, or were your puns did you sort of do Santa Claus where the clause was CLAWS and therefore what I want to know the journey here.
Yeah, so they put me on puns with the hope that my output doesn't turn evil. They're very good employers, and they try not to fire anyone because you literally send out into the snow. It's not a nice way to lose a job. So they try and find a place for everyone, but unfortunately, everything I do turns evil. So the robots, that was a disaster. I was on snowmen, and one of them attacked Tokyo. It was not for long. Obviously, it's quite hot there. But it took ages to melt, and the children that saw that happen, massive, enormous snowman. I don't know why I built it so big. That was the problem. I shouldn't have built a Godzilla-sized snowman. What did I call that?
Godzilla?
That would have been brilliant. But unfortunately, I wasn't working for puns then. Actually, I could write that down, but then that could actually turn into the name of an evil. So they got me on puns currently, but a lot of the puns are evil, so I can't actually say them.
Wow. Well, I mean, I've asked you a question, but I am slightly concerned. If everything you do turns evil, you're now on this podcast. It's meant to be our Christmas special episode. Is this now going to turn evil? And I suppose I should also ask, you're doing a poo. Is that evil?
I mean, I've cleared the room, certainly.
Yes, even Larry's gone.
Yeah. He came in, thought I was shouting to him, and then just staggered away, just clutching his eyes. So in silence. It's very good of him.
Is there anything I should do to stop this podcast? Because I don't really want this podcast to turn evil for Christmas. I was hoping we'd have a nice Christmas episode and that the listeners have a lovely Christmas time. They'll listen to it. I don't want them to turn evil. If this
could be nasty. Yeah, because when I was on Radio 4, of course, that's been evil for the last year. There's Jeremy Vine. Since I was on, he turned evil. That's true.
I mean, I can see a real pattern. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is worrying. Yeah, I don't know what we should do. Perhaps we should take this podcast onto the roof and thwack it into the hedges with a golf club.
That's a really great idea, actually. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Fantastic. Once we finish talking, that's exactly what I'll do
Yeah.
with this. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And look, I hope
That's how they work anyway, isn't it? Podcasts. That's how you get them into people's iPhones.
that is how people listen to them. They have them directly. It's whacked off a roof by a golf club, and then it lands in their ears or in their brain. And
Okay,
they've
yeah.
heard it. Yeah, it's quite an exhausting process, and I can't help but feel there must be an easier way to do it, but no one's got there yet. So
No, that's God bless Acast for their strong swing.
Yes, well, absolutely. Well, listen, thank you, Chris, for answering things. Thank you for possibly turning this podcast evil.
Sorry about that. Sorry if anyone's listened to this podcast or this podcast attacks anyone's city or tries to take over any sort of plaza and has people have to be rescued by the bloke from Die Hard, who is also played by Father Christmas, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Yeah, I'm very sorry if this podcast does anything truly evil over the festive period.
Well,
that's down. That's on me.
I appreciate you apologising, and I'm sorry for interrupting your poo. And I hope it continue. I hope you have a good rest of your Christmas poo, and and a lovely Christmas, if that is possible, when you're surrounded by evil Father Christmas robots.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm only going to hope that this poo doesn't turn evil and attack me.
Good luck.
It'd be a terrible way to end the podcast, wouldn't it?
It would be an awful. Wait, what's that? What's that coming up behind you?
That's just a toilet system.
Oh, phew! I thought that was a giant evil poo.
No, that.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks so much to Chris Mass, who I should say was definitely not comedian Howard Reed, and anyone who suggests he might have been is clearly very wrong. I am very sorry that we interrupted Chris Mass's Christmas poo, but I do hope that Anonymous, Bella and Zoe, that you like the answers that you got for your special festive questions. I don't mean I want to eat them, and if you didn't, then why not write your complaints in a letter and send them to the South Pole, where absolutely no one lives, and an angry penguin will just stamp on it, and I'll never have to see it. Thanks. This show has one more bonus episode next week, as I said earlier, so do make sure you're subscribed to the podcast to hear that, and then it will have a little break, but that doesn't mean you can't keep sending in any important questions you have, or anything else that you'd like to drop us a line with, and you can do that by asking your Yule Scrap Crumps, grown-ups, to help you email in at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. Hopefully you'll also come and see us live next year, and you can find out where we'll be at comedyclubforkids.co.uk, and check out all our t-shirts and book at comedyclubforkids.store. I do hope Father Christmas brings you absolutely everything you'd hoped for, and also 3 things you really didn't want and get confused by, and at least 4 or 5 stinky hippos, just to get that really lovely, fusty Christmas aroma around the house. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I still hope you get some stinky hippos, as hey, they are at their most ripe around this time of year, and look, it would be a real shame to miss out. Have fantabulous festive times, and I'll see you all for brand new Radio Nonsense episodes in 2023, which will be a great year, because if you write it down, 2023, it looks a bit like a duck with an egg being followed by a duck with a big bum. Merry Bymas! You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense,